Hello and welcome. My name is Zaffar Iqbal and you are watching the Mojo story. 4 years after the abrogation of Article 370, the matter came up for hearing in the Supreme Court today. Now, Article 370 gave a special status to the erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir state. The court will hear from August 2 the pleas challenging the central government's move of abrogating Article 370. Meanwhile, IAS officer Shah Faisal and former student leader Shaila Rashid, they have withdrawn their petition, which is challenging the scrapping of Article 370. The court has also noted the centre's statement that the latest affidavit filed by the government shall not be relied upon to argue on the aspect of constitutionality. Now, the center had, in fact, they filed a fresh affidavit which says that Jammu and Kashmir has witnessed unprecedented stability, progress, with stone pelting and school closures becoming a thing of the past. Now, to discuss this, we are joined by an eminent panel. We're joined by Zafar Chaudhary, who is a journalist and a commentator. He joins us from Jammu. We're also joined by Lieutenant Colonel uh, Lieutenant Colonel KG Singh. He joins us. He's a security expert. We're also joined by Pathania, the spokesperson of the BJP. And in the course of discussion, we'll also be joined by a representative from the PDP. If I may start with you, Zafar Saab, the case has come up for hearing after 4 years. Kashmir-based parties have been insisting that this matter should be taken up in the earnest. Now, after 4 years, the case has come up. What is the sense that you make of this?
So one of the questions is that why the case has come up after 4 years, why after such a long wait, while as some of the parties had gone to the court before also requesting the court to list it earlier. So one is that the case is highly complex. It's a highly complicated case. And secondly, I mean, if you view the case in a completely unemotional way, in a completely unattached manner, so there were not any questions of fundamental rights or human rights involved in the case that the Supreme Court
Yeah,
should have immediately jumped into and listed
yeah,
for hearing because there wasn't
yeah,
any urgency involved. So primarily this is a political matter, but then there is a constitutional jurisdiction over it. There is a jurisdiction of the parliament and of the central government that required, I think, due diligence, that required a lot of examination, that required a lot of work on that. So I mean, in entire fairness, the central government, of course, was the party to the case, and they were not expected to go to the Supreme Court that, look, this case has been listed. So we also request you to initiate early hearing in the case. They would certainly have wanted to have the case, the hearing in the case delayed as much as possible. But then the petitioners also did not make a lot of, hue and cry about the case. They went to the Supreme Court a few times, but that was not pressured beyond a point. The third and very important thing is that could have, inspired the petitioner side to press before the Supreme Court that in the last 4 years there hasn't been also any political movement of a massive scale in Kashmir or anywhere in Jammu and Kashmir seeking reverse of. Of course, there have been political discussion, but there hasn't been any political movement as one could see following the events before 2019 at a number of occasions. So I think sooner or later, at some point, the case had to be heard. But of course, this leaves everyone surprised, as you, as much as myself as well, that why exactly now? Because recently the Honorable Chief Justice of India and some other judges, they were here in Jammu and also in Kashmir. And when political parties, they spoke out in the press and in the public that now since the Chief Justice is here, and he should promise that the case is listed soon and there is hearing on that. So immediately after going back, there is a decision on that. And coupled with that, there is a decision of hearing the case on day-to-day basis. That comes as a little surprise, but it's very difficult to figure out that what exactly happened these days. Yeah.
Pathania Saab, are you surprised?
Not at all, Zafar sir. No question of surprise. Supreme Court has constituted a constitutional bench to hear the matter. A very, very brief overview of Article 370. Article 370 was pushed through the Constituent Assembly of India by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru at the instance of Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah. The entire parliament, and especially most notably B.R. Ambedkar, Sardar Patel, Mullah Hasrat Mohani, a very, very vibrant speaker from Uttar Pradesh, and there was a big ferment in the Congress meeting also in the New Delhi. But anyhow, things were managed, things were controlled, and ultimately stage was prepared. Article 370 was unleashed. But the title itself said temporary provisions with regard to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Its very inception was itself temporary. And 2 years after the enactment of the article, Mr. Sheikh Abdullah, at whose instance the article was introduced, he had to be jailed and his government to be dismissed. The government realized its fault. And ultimately, the integration of Jammu and Kashmir with India started by kits and bits. It's very important in 1963. I think it is December. It is the winter session of the parliament when Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru said on the floor of the parliament that Article 370 has been reduced to a naught because major central laws, major central institutions, and major central agencies have virtually extended their foothold in the territory of Jammu and Kashmir. And I have also said it on many occasions that the position as on 5th of August 2019, though it is a separate case that Modi Sarkar and Modi ji had the courage, conviction, and the mettle to
No,
bell the cat, but the position.
hold your thoughts, Pathania sir. If that was the
Please.
case, then what was the need to abrogate Article 370?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, sir. That's what I'm saying. Majority of the articles in the union list, in the concurrent list, they were made applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. But it used to breed a psychology. It used to breed a a sort of thinking, a sort of perception amongst the people of Kashmir that Article 370 was a peanuts worth price to accede to India. It it used to conceive a nation within a nation. It used to conceive a state within a state, a constitution within a constitution. You see the theories of self-rule, double currency, but all this stuff. So very appropriate is to watch and virtually to analyze and to read the comment of Jagmohan in his Frozen Turbulence in Kashmir. He says it fuels the politics of deception, demagogy, double speak. It
No,
only
but you mean to say
it only
you mean to
yes,
say it was just a perception, and to remove that perception, Article
yes,
370
yes,
was
yes.
taken off.
Ek
But
Bharat,
that is not what was said at the time of the abrogation of Article 370. It
sir,
was said that it will improve the situation. It is something got to do with
absolutely,
separatism, with
sir.
terrorism.
That's
Aren't
absolutely.
isn't this contradictory? On one side, you say that it is just a perception, nothing was going to happen because already everything was in place in Jammu and Kashmir.
No,
To
Zafar sir,
remove that perception, it was done. And
I
now
think
that
I think
you're saying that but you don't say that while doing that.
give me give me only 2 minutes, sir, uncontroverted. I'm saying that major my point is that major part of the integration of Jammu and Kashmir with India had occurred before 5th of August 2019. I want to demonstrate that there was almost an all-party consensus on it. Nehru ji sat on the floor of the parliament. Morarji Desai wanted it to go. Narasimha Rao said gisti gisti chale jayegi. Jayalalitha said in 1984 that this article should go. Biju Patnaik raised the concern that should go. There was an intra-party consensus on the article to go. But at the same time, the injustice with daughters, the injustice with refugees, the injustice with Balmikis. You see, on one point, there are people who shirked the two-nation theory of which was propounded by Jinnah and which led to the birth of Pakistan. People kept that theory. People came over to India. They became the Prime Minister of India. They became the Home Minister of India. They became the top civil servants. And in Jammu and Kashmir, those who came to Jammu and Kashmir, they couldn't even find the right to seek education, right to acquire land, right to have government jobs also. This was stark injustice. So this was a
Right.
perception which was growing out of Article 370
Okay.
and a perception growing within the Kashmiri. So
Okay.
the final blow had to be dealt, the full integration, you see, and last parting comment. One part of that the instrument and accession was signed by Maharajah Hari Singh on 26th and 27th October 1947, but Purna Vile, the full
Right.
integration of Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir with India was done on 5th of August 2019. This
Right.
needs to be done. This was need
You
of the
made
hour.
you made your
Uh,
point, Colonel
Thank you.
Singh. Colonel Zafar
there is
Sahab,
the
Zafar
constitution.
Sahab, get me.
That is just one
Yeah,
second. Just one
yeah.
second. The constitution of Jammu and Kashmir, without any doubt or without any apprehension, confirms that Jammu and Kashmir, that way back in 1956-57, that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India. So I don't think
Yes.
that any doubt persisted between 1950s till 2019 to leave any doubt that Jammu and Kashmir wasn't integral part of India at any moment in
We
this
we never
journey.
said it, sir.
Okay,
Zafar
okay.
sir, we never said
Let
it.
me
We
let me
never
let
said it.
me go across to
Please.
Colonel Singh. The point is here that an affidavit was presented by the center on Monday. We said that J&K has witnessed unprecedented stability, progress with stone pelting and school closures being a thing of the past. But that is what has happened after the abrogation of Article 370. That did not become a basis for the abrogation of Article 370 in the first place, because that's a constitutional discussion that will take place. Whether it was done in a legal way, that is a separate thing, and you know what are the consequences of its abrogation are a separate thing.
You see, there are 2 points here. First of all, as Mr. Pathania himself has said, that the article itself over a period of 6-7 decades had become redundant. There was
Yeah.
nothing left in the article. So whether you remove it or it stays, it made no difference. As far as that it has brought stone pelting XYZ, these are all cliches. You have so much military there, which you had earlier also, but now you have much more than that. So you remove the military and then you see what the normalcy is. Normalcy is whatever you call normal, because there are a couple of lakh troops there, whether it is the BSF or the CRPF or the Indian Army. So what exactly did we gain now, barring optics, by removing this Article 370? Absolutely nothing, barring then scoring a few political points. Nothing has happened to change anything there. And as far as the two-nation theory goes, frankly, accession of Kashmir and Junagadh, they're interrelated. The government of India's logic in Junagadh was exactly the opposite what is in Kashmir. Now I'm going to say something contrary. From 71 onwards, the two-nation theory has come to a knot. Religion was not a binding force. It was the Punjabi, right, versus the Bengali, which were both Muslims. So this two-nation theory itself in 1971 had finished. And I see no reason that you remove the army. Nobody in the entire history of mankind has ever been able to keep unwilling people subdued forever by the military might.
No, let me ask Pathania Saab. Pathania Saab, the point here is that if the center says in its affidavit that stone pelting has ended, school closing is a thing of the past, which is true also. There is no stone pelting, there is no unrest. According to the government, everything is normal. Then why not hold elections? What's it taking so long? The timeline that was given to us, that there will be Article 370 abrogation, then there will be a process of delimitation, then there will be elections which will take place, and in the end, after the elections, the statehood will be restored. Now, delimitation has happened. Everything is normal according to the government affidavit, center's affidavit. Then why not elections?
With due deference to what I said earlier also, that Article 370, once again, it was fueling the spirit of secessionism. It was strengthening the basic idea and gospel behind two nation theory. It was basically fueling the sensation, fueling the a very, very inclination amongst the people among in the Kashmir that Article 370 is a peanuts worth price to accede to India. So it needed to be dealt with. It needed to be dealt to create and virtually to conceptualize the idea of Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. I have given you the background that even the Congress Prime Minister, even Jawaharlal Nehru said we can repeal it. Gulzarilal Nanda said on the floor of the Parliament, now it's a dead letter. We can do it within 5 or 6,
Pathania
5 or 10 days.
Pathania Saab, that does not answer my question. All
I'm
of
coming
that
to
is
it,
true.
sir. I'm
All
coming
of
to
that
right.
is
I'm coming
true.
to
The
right.
point
I'm
here
coming
is
to it,
the
sir.
point here is
Sir.
4 years is a long time.
Yes,
Why
sir.
do you
Sir,
why
not
do
at all
you
4 years,
stop
sir.
why do you stop people of Jammu and Kashmir from having their own elected
Sir,
representatives, their elected government? What is stopping?
Jammu and Kashmir has just witnessed a very, very comprehensive and based on scientific norms and all the constitutional parameters of propriety, a very, very comprehensive delimitation. After the delimitation, Jammu and Kashmir has seen a very, very detailed electoral revision. Now, that electoral revision covered only the areas up to October 2022. Now, another electoral summary revision, and it will encompass all the voters which are becoming eligible on October 2023 also.
So you mean
So
to say that the process is
no,
still
no,
getting
I'm coming
completed?
to,
But we're joined by
I'm
Najmu
coming,
Saqib. I want to go to him because he's in a car and the car is moving. I don't know whether he will have this internet signal later or not. Najmu Saqib Saab, what is the sense that you make today? The case came up for hearing. You have been insisting that it's a legal battle. You are going to fight it in the court. Now the case has come up in the court, and from August 2 onwards, there will be hearing. What is the sense that you make of it?
Sorry, terribly sorry. First of all, Zafar Saab, I mean, I'm traveling on a very precarious road, and as you rightly said, the network is very erratic. So let me
No,
just quickly jump into the connect.
why don't you stop your car for 5-10 minutes so
Because
that
it's a
internet is
it's a very
stationary?
dangerous road. I mean, we had a narrow escape. There was a boulder that just fell on the road, so it was a very
Okay,
narrow escape for us. I'm traveling in
okay,
North Kashmir, so
okay.
we are trying to reach somewhere as fast as we can.
Okay, stay
But
safe and
I'm
please
terribly
go on.
sorry. I
Yeah.
also joined late, but we just had a narrow escape. So coming to your question, look, the affidavit on the part of the government that they filed yesterday, I think that made things absolutely clear that they still do not have a legal defense. Our argument, our play is that what was done on August 5 was completely illegal, was completely unconstitutional, and the way they did it was, it was shoved down the throat, and it has dangerous ramifications for the federal structure. It has dangerous ramifications for the rest of the states of the country. Because if this model is replicated and we see the ripples being, ripples felt everywhere in every state of the country, and that is our argument, and that's where I mean, it's very heartening. It has taken Supreme Court 4 long years to, hear the case, but well begun is half done. Oh, sorry. so, but that the important part is the hopes of people of Jammu and Kashmir are towards the Supreme Court of India. Because if India, if we set this narrative that India is run by manifestos of political parties, then tomorrow any political party can have any manifesto and then they will dictate those terms. India is run by the constitution, run by the rule of the law, and I think this case affects the basic structure of the Constitution of India. And it's very heartening to see the remarks of the Chief Justice and other judges when today's hearing, was underway. And look, and as far as the political argument of 370 and peace having restored to Jammu and Kashmir, I can turn the tables and ask the question from the present dispensation that Pir Panjal region, which was declared militancy free a decade ago, we see a renewed spirit of militancy there, and it's very dangerous. We don't even know who these guys are, and it's a hybrid kind of a militancy, the kind that we have never seen. We saw attacks on Kashmiri Pandits. We saw attacks on minorities here. That the sort of demographic things, the changes that the fair psychosis that they created among us the population. And I think so. Look, it's a double-edged sword for them. The moment they portray this thing as normalcy is restored, then we ask the question from them, then why not elections, why not statehood? And the moment they try to say, look, it's a zone, it's a terrorist zone, or it's a very violent zone or conflict zone, then they have trouble internationally. So I think it's a very precarious thing for them. They're walking a very fine line, but people of Kashmir are looking up to the Supreme Court, and we have a lot of hopes from the court this time.
Looking up to the Supreme Court, Zafar Saab, the point, there are several things here. Every time when we talk about Jammu and Kashmir and peace and terrorism, we say that so many tourists have come, an indicator of normalcy. It's not happened now, it's been happening since decades. And then we say, of course, there is no unrest, there is no street protest, there is no stone pelting. That has changed. That has clearly changed. But the point that Najmu Saqib is raising, look at the situation in Pir Panjal. There have been a series of attacks there. Have encounters ended in Kashmir? Maybe they're initiated by the security forces, but has militancy? There are infiltration attempts still going on today. Another infiltration attempt took place. How are the two connected? I mean, has it made any change on the ground? Has the revocation of Article 370 actually brought normalcy in J&K?
that there was an absolute normalcy in Jammu and Kashmir. So elections should have been held by now. If you look at the government's affidavit to the Supreme Court yesterday, so you read the whole affidavit and all the claims that are made there. So that takes us to a completely ideal situation that one sees anywhere else in any other state in the country. So then there is no reason that how could you defend your decision of not holding elections in Jammu and Kashmir. So that's one thing that, the claim that has been made by the government to the Supreme Court. But the situation on the ground, the militancy, I'm afraid, terrorism for that matter, cannot be described or understood simply by way of crunching the statistics or numbers. So government has given out a lot of numbers and statistics that where it stood in 2017 or 18 and where is the situation today. Of course, there hasn't been any street violence, street protests, stone pelting, etc., which of course no one ever wants to happen. If those incidents are not happening, that's great enough to not having them happen, not having them seen at the moment. But the incident that happened that Mr. Najmu Sakiq have pointed out, that tells us clearly that the danger, that the vulnerabilities and that the problems remain far from being completely addressed. So I think a long-term solution for that is required, and that has to be something unattached from the political agenda that's to be presented before the country. Security has to be slightly delinked from any electoral agenda or any political agenda so that you are able to deal with these fresh challenges. Because what we have seen in Rajouri and Punch, particularly over last year and a half or over last 2 years, that's completely a renewed strategy. There are people who want to renew things. There are people who want to cause a greater trouble. And that needs to be delinked from all sorts of politics to be able to approach from a strategic and security point of view. So I'm afraid that the claims that the government is making that there is an absolute normalcy, that can't be seen, that cannot be confirmed absolutely that yes, that there is.
Singh sir, would you tend to agree?
Yes, I do tend to agree, but I have one question: that what was the number of troops before 5th August 2019 in Kashmir, and what are the number of troops thereafter? What exactly normalcy is, I've been unable to fathom. Normalcy is when you remove the troops and no stone pelting takes place. If you have a security personnel standing every 100 yards, obviously there will be no stone pelting. You remove the troop and then let's see what happens. It is ultimately you have to win the hearts and minds of the people. What exactly have we gained by removing 370? And I'm also of the opinion that the Supreme Court will find it very difficult to restore status quo. Right? There'll be a lot of airing going on for 5, 6, 10 days or whatever, right? It is. Ultimately, they say now it's the fate accompli, and we can do nothing about it. The other gentleman also brought out an example of Punjab, that militants, there is no militancy in Punjab. It is just few upstart Sardarjis sitting in Vancouver and wherever XYZ places who are making a noise. Just a few thousand. It gets magnified in the social media and on the television, and we see, oh, Punjab is on fire. Nothing of the sort. Right? This fellow tried his best, Amritpal or something, probably, I don't know who sponsored him. It is amazing that out of the blue he gets parachuted down there. And when they removed him, nothing happened in Punjab. Nobody cared for him. So to compare Kashmir with Punjab is
what is the point that you want to make? So what is the point that you want to make?
Making that removing Article 370, whether it was there or they let it stay, has made absolutely no difference. What has made the difference is the huge quantum of troops which are there. Right.
Okay. Let's go across to Najmu Sakiq, because you want to come in, Najmu Sakiq.
Zafar Sahab, I just wanted to sort of reply to the gentleman before me. Look, we cannot have double standards. We cannot have 25, close to 30 people dying in panchayat elections in West Bengal, and say we go all guns blazing and say there is a deteriorating situation in West Bengal. Will you apply? Will you downgrade West Bengal to a union territory tomorrow? Will you in Manipur we have 150 government of Manipur presented a sort of affidavit in Supreme Court today saying 150 have died. So I think by that logic, we have one of the. I mean, you have a problem in Punjab, you have a problem in Northeast, you have a problem in Assam, you have a problem in West Bengal. By that logic, we have Maoism in the rest of the country. Should we do away with elections? Should we declare president's rule in the entire country and be done with the facade of democracy everywhere? Look, we are asking you very serious questions. We posed the question when you started this sort of dividing people, the fault lines on Gujar and Pahadi. We warned you at that point of time. We told you that this is a very dangerous thing that you are doing. You are dividing two communities based on the caste. This will have national security ramifications. So you sacrifice your politics. You sacrifice the security interest for your own petty political interest. We
Okay.
told you at that point of
Okay.
time. You never
Let
listened to
let
us.
let let Pathania Saab respond. Pathania Saab, the point that he's making is that different yardsticks are being applied. You know what's happening in Bengal. So many people have died. There are panchayat elections taking place. Yeah, that is also violence. That is also, that's a problem on the ground. That's a crisis. But Bengal will not be downgraded to a union territory.
First of all, let us take this thing firstly from national conference. It is no official that giving Pahadi status to Pahadis of Jammu and Kashmir, which is a long pending demand. And we have again and again said it will not disturb the paradigm and the virtually the special status being the reservation status of the Gujars. So they said that it has national ramifications. This means national conference is formally opposed to Pahadi status. You are formally and technically, and you are opposed to SA status to Pahadi. One thing from
Najmu
NC.
Saqib,
At
Najmu
least,
Saqib is from PDP, is not from
sorry,
National
sorry, sorry,
Conference.
sorry, 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 sorry. From People's Democratic Party, Najma Saab. This is one thing we have come to see, and the viewers should also take a strict note of it. Now, regarding elections, sir, Bharatiya Janata Party stand is very clear. We are ready for elections, and we are for early elections in Jammu and Kashmir. And hopefully, Jammu and Kashmir will see early elections. Not to make a big smoke screen out of it. Jammu and Kashmir will see elections, and let us be assured the battle of each and every political party and People's Democratic Party, NC, and all regional players of Jammu and Kashmir, your battle will be tested. And you have, I'm not trying to make a mock of you, sir. This is democracy is itself a diversity of ideas. It is itself a diversity of action, diversity of thoughts. You are all welcome. You should try your metal. You
Well,
should try to
Pathania
make the
Saab, you
democracy
mentioned long-pending demand. We had a
happen in a
long-pending
most
demand of
beautiful,
Kashmiri Pandits.
beautiful,
If you had to
beautiful
address
manner.
the demand of reservation or giving something, then Kashmiri Pandits could have been the best candidate for that. You certainly chose to divide Kashmiri votes, to divide Muslim votes. You chose a fault line, trying to divide communities. We told you at that point of time. We warned you during Rasana raid case. We warned you during this fault line that they are soldiers without guns. We warned you at that point of time that don't play with fire.
So,
What do we have right now? You
Mr.
might try to
Saqib, Mr.
dodge it, you might
Saqib,
try to deflect it, but the
the
reality, the
the
fact of
en-
the matter is
the
that
entire
we have a
country
Kir Panjal which is
pa-
destabilized right now.
and the
Pathania
entire
Saab,
Jammu and Kashmir knows. Ji, please.
Pathania Saab,
The entire Jammu and Kashmir knows who mishandled Risana, who created a
you
further out of
didn't
it,
you
who
you
created, who created.
we seem to be digressing, but the point you didn't answer
Please,
my question, that
please,
the
please.
example of Bengal that I gave to you. But Zafar Saab, the point here is that Union Minister Jatinder Singh just spoke to Srinagar a couple of days ago. He said that this was a promise of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of J&K, who said that it's a temporary constitutional provision and it has to go, and Congress should in fact thank Modi government for doing it. You have been, studying this subject and have been, speaking on it and doing a lot of work on this. Do you think that is the case, that BJP has done a favor on Congress and other parties by just removing it? That is what it was meant to be.
फालतू में दोनों क्या कर रहे हैं?
Zafar Saab.
So yeah, I was saying that these different people within the BJP have different ways of presenting this case. before the country and before the people of Jammu and Kashmir. But fact of the matter is, to be very frank and to be very honest and very fair on this matter, but the fact of the matter is that the BJP has just taken it forward from where the Congress had actually left it. The difference is that BJP was always very much clear, very much open, very much honest, and very much frank in saying that, look, here is this Article 370 and this special status of Jammu and Kashmir. The way we are, strongly in a position in power, we have the numbers, we'll take it away. Congress never said that in very clear words, but Congress always wanted to do that. I concur with Mr. Pathania's statement, this reference to Nehru's speech in 1963. Indira Gandhi had sent I.K. Gujral to Kashmir on a month-long tour to study in 1970s that if Article 370 is withdrawn, what are going to be the consequences of that? So he proposed an economic package for Kashmir and political package to replace Article 370 with a new thing, but that eventually did not happen. So when Mr. Pathania says that nothing was left in Article 370 on the date of this August 5, 2019, that's a fact that from the 1950s, say from the August 1953 till 2014, every Congress government or every government at the center had contributed, and the elected political leadership within Jammu and Kashmir, they had collaborated with the center in making sure that the effects of Article 370 are neutralized. So there was actually nothing, that was just a fig leaf. There was nothing left in Article 370 in 2019. Now the point is that the petition has gone before the Supreme Court, and what Supreme Court and what future course is likely to happen on that. So I don't think that this is just something putting to a discussion for another month or so. I don't think that there can be any reversal, a reverse course on this that can happen. And if we take the past precedents of the apex court as well, so the evidences are really are very poor in apex court intervening into matters such as how center wants to deal with the states. There are a number of other examples as well.
Is that Zafar Saab is making is that there is not much of a difference between Congress and the BJP. The BJP merely accelerated, put the accelerator, put a throttle on the accelerator. That's all.
Yes. Which is why that every BJP leader is now reminding you of Nehru and Hazrat Mohani and other people that, look, they already said this thing, what they said, and they had left something, unfinished. We have finished that. So this was a course that was going on for a very long while.
Colonel Singh, yeah. Please unmute, sir. Yes, we can hear you now. No.
Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you. Please.
What is there to finish? What is already finished? It is just optics and semantics. Yeah. Everybody concedes that everything was taken out. It was a hollowed out Article 370. So why finish something which is already finished? It is just to the optics for the rest of the country. Look, we promised you this and we have done this.
Yeah, nothing else. It serves a political purpose elsewhere in the country, not in
Kashmir. That's exactly what I'm saying. It serves a political purpose. Everything is happening for politics. Nothing is happening for the country.
Najmu Sakiq, there was nothing left in Article 370. It was just a hollow shell. So it can be we can turn around the debate that there was no need to remove it, but there is no need to even agitate for its removal now. If there was nothing in it in the first place, then why to agitate it about it? And you've been looking at the court right from the outset. What did you politically do to make people aware about the benefits that Article 370 gave to them? What did parties like yours do to make people aware about that?
As I said earlier, I think it's a very slippery slope. Tomorrow, BJP can use the same argument saying, there's nothing left in democracy in India. Let's do away with democracy and declare India as a Hindu Rashtra. Anyways, there is no democracy left. We are, toppling governments, buying MLAs. Almost half of the country is on fire. We need a dictatorship. So I think it's a very slippery slope. The argument, it's not right in my opinion. One. Second, I think, as far as awareness of 370, look, it was what they have done was a political harakiri. We know It was in 367 and rest of the articles. It was clearly mentioned that without Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, as they represent the will and the aspirations of the people, without it, nothing can be done. And the subsequent Supreme Court rulings, look, we are not arguing on behalf of politics. We are not arguing on behalf of what was the mandate of the country. We are speaking in terms of constitution. We are saying constitution said these things. What is your argument? And we saw the affidavit yesterday also that they had no legal argument. Now they're trying to say that we have now abrogated 370. We have just amended it, so it's not a big deal. We can the argument that they're trying to make in the Supreme Court and give a leeway to themselves is we have not abrogated it. So with the passage of time you can slowly add or delete multiple things as we have done. So we have opened a sort of gateway. Look, that as I said earlier, it has no bearing on the larger political issue of Jammu and Kashmir. 370 and 35A was a emotive issue for those who believed in the accession, and those who believed in secession, they never had to do anything with 370 or 35. Issue for the party of accession. For the party of secession, they say, for them it has vindicated that whatever you're talking about, the sort of greater autonomy or self rule or larger loose federalism, it is just a fig leaf. They are here, and the things that we're seeing, the allocation of land of 5 marla, and then these policies, eviction drives and a lot of these things. So I think it is solidifying things in the minds of people of Jammu and Kashmir, that they have everything to do with the land of Jammu and Kashmir. And the voices that we hear from Jammu right now, I know Pathania Saab would not publicly acknowledge this, but I know in the heart of the hearts, yeah, he knows that his constituents and the overall population of Jammu is not happy with the disenfranchisement of the people of Jammu, is not happy
Right.
with the, Kashmiris are not happy with the disenfranchisement of the people
Okay.
of the Kashmir. So I think there are serious issues that need to be discussed and dealt, without political rhetoric.
Right. We have lost Zafar Saab. I wanted to ask this question to him, the next question. But Pathania Saab, you can take it on from here. The point that PDP's representative is saying that, all right, it has been removed, but this has not helped on the ground. He's particularly referring to Jammu. He says that things have in fact gone from bad to worse for the BJP, according to him.
Zafar Sahab, some political parties are in the habit of playing the politics of deception, double speak, and demagoguery. This is what Article 370 used to promote and used to breed in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Post 5th of August 2019, and the zero tolerance towards terrorism policy of Bharat Sarkar, there is a considerable, I won't say that we have decimated, we have virtually eliminated the militancy, but there is a virtual big major successes achieved by Bharat Sarkar, by the Bharat Sarkar security forces in the territory of Jammu and Kashmir with regard to containing militancy. Secondly, a perception in the minds of the out of state players, a record investment in Jammu and Kashmir. Thirdly, a, a renewed impetus to the developmental works, and virtually a host of public friendly laws and legislations which have found their entry in the territory of Jammu and Kashmir. I'll just remember with due reference to Zafar Saab, I was speaking while I was a member of the Assembly, 11th Assembly in the, I said that by Forest Rights Act, when the STs across the countries are having the benefits of Forest Rights Act, they have the right to dwell in Jammu and Kashmir till 7 decades, and now they did not have the right to dwell. If they were dwelling,
Right.
that was illegal, that was extra constitutional, that was without any authority of law, I could say. So forest right,
Right.
why not in Jammu and Kashmir? So now the Forest Rights Act has come. Now right to education,
Right.
no more in Jammu and
Right.
Kashmir.
Right.
Right to food,
Right.
no more in Jammu and Kashmir. A weaker anti-corruption and
Even
weaker
as
anti-inflation law in
right,
Jammu and
right,
Kashmir.
right. You made your point, Pathania Saab.
Please.
We come almost to the end of our discussion. Zafar Saab, I wanted to ask you one question. BJP is very clear that this was their stand, that they want to abrogate Article 370. The question that's being asked, they are asking to the other parties, to Congress and to the regional parties, for these 70 years, what did you do to strengthen it? You did nothing to strengthen it. So why are you turning around and telling us that you abrogated it? That's been our stand all along.
Yeah, sorry. What's the question? That what did
The,
they do in
the,
70 years?
the question that I am saying, that BJP is very clear. They said that this has
Yeah,
been our stand right from the beginning, that we want to
true,
abrogate Article 370.
true.
Now,
That's right.
the other parties, the Congress and the regional parties, were at least for Article 370, and still some of them are agitating for its restoration. The question that they are asking is that what we said, we did it, but what did you do to strengthen Article
Yes.
370? Did you do anything in these 70 years?
Oh,
I
well,
still
that's a
remember.
very, very,
I still remember the first press conference after the Gupta alliance was formed. In the press conference, they said they'll come up with a paper. They will uh, give a comparison of the economic
right,
problems that happened in the months of
right,
shutdown in Kashmir following Article 3. That never happened.
right,
So,
right, right,
so how is it going to work? Because when there is no commitment, or so to say seriousness, for its
right.
restoration, how is that going to work in the end?
So it's a very, very, very important question. That what was happening over the last 70 years, that you left a question, unanswered. You left something very open-ended, and that's how that was addressed in a certain way, which is much to your disliking. Basically, what happened that this negotiation should have completed way back in 1950s. So when the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir was coming up, and when the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir was ceasing to exist. So this negotiation should have happened right away there. That what's going to be the future of the special status of Jammu and Kashmir and the future of Article 370. There was another occasion that this Indira Sheikh Accord of 1974, and when Sheikh came back to power in 1975, when there was Rajiv Farooq Accord, there have been a number of historic these engagements between the leadership of Jammu and Kashmir and the leadership of the country, when these things could have been resolved. In 2002, there was a remarkable this common minimum program between People's Democratic Party and the Congress. All these years, all these decades, these fundamental issues of the center-state relation were left completely unaddressed, and this suited every party. This suited the parties at the national level. This suited the parties at the regional level as well, because this helped you to survive in a certain political environment without addressing certain critical questions. When Mr. Pathania says that he, reads out a long list of the laws which were implemented after the abrogation of, or after the decommissioning of Article 370 in 2019, that really makes sense, because these are some questions of maladministration. These are some questions of misgovernance. That how could you not allow the implementation of the Forest Rights Act? So there are some certain, for example, Prevention of Terrorism Act. I remember POTA way back in 2001 or 2002. The government was quick to have that implemented in Jammu and Kashmir, but the 73rd and 74th Amendment in the constitutional amendments to the effect of Panchayati Raj institutions, those were left unimplemented in Jammu and Kashmir, and all these things then inspired discussion and created a larger support base across the country and in some regions of Jammu and Kashmir as well, that yes, these issues need to be addressed. So I agree with you completely that the regional political parties and Congress does not take a stand on these issues at all. No one can understand within the Congress or outside the Congress that what exactly is Congress's stand on this. But as far as the regional parties are concerned, they did absolutely nothing to find out a final agreement with the center, that what's going to be the relationship between the center and the state and the future of these laws.
Right. I'm afraid we have this much time on our show, but thanks to all our panelists for joining us today and to discuss this topic. The case did come up in the Supreme Court, and now there will be hearing on it from August 2. But thanks so much to all of you for joining us, and thanks for watching.
Thank you. Thank you. Where did Mr. Pathania go?
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.